I'd like at this time to recognize Linda Robinson, Chair of the Human Trafficking Committee of the Commission for Women of Miami-Dade County. We're joined by other jurisdictions around the country today in declaring January Human Trafficking Awareness Month. We did do that earlier. But after issuing the proclamation and acknowledging the good work of Commissioners Diaz and Heyman and bringing human trafficking concerns forward with required signs, we're asking that we have a citizen presentation to help inform us about this terrible situation. We're joined as well by Barbour Martinez, Chief of the Special Prosecution's Human Trafficking Coordinator, U.S. Department of Justice, and Rafael Hernandez, Chief of Human Trafficking Task Force for Miami-Dade's State Attorney's Office. Thank you so very much for your patience, Linda, and we look forward to your presentation.
We'll give you 5 minutes for the presentation. I really apologize because I thought when you were giving the proclamation this morning, that was the presentation. So
I accept your apology.
Thank you.
This is a very, very critical issue, and I'd like all the Uber and taxi drivers to stay and hear this because they could be very important in this topic. Friends, it's here. It's critical. Yes, we need all of your help, all of the commissioners and the mayor and the taxi drivers and Uber. We need to get the word out to the community. I'm here as a personal request from our state's attorney, Catherine Rundle, and my request is to all of you to help us. I have a special PowerPoint that, thanks to Vic Williams of Homeland Security, has offered. Just a minute. Is it too late? Yes, it's happening here. If you look at this first slide, commercially, sexually exploited children, it's your neighbors, it's your friends. It is right here in everyone's community. I'm not going to go through all these. This PowerPoint is available to all of the county commissioners. It is an email. But I want to tell you that there are over 100,000 children trafficked in the USA today. This situation makes more money than drugs. The human traffickers are doing that. Now, if I can do the next slide. Okay. Human trafficking generates $9.5 billion in the United States. And a trafficker can make $150,000 to $200,000 per child each year. I hate to tell you that the average victim may be forced to have sex up to 20 to 48 times a day. Florida is ranked #2 as a top destination. And human traffickers are not strangers. They can be among your friends and the community, and also among the transportation guys. Next slide. Where does it occur? Victims are tricked to come to Miami. It might be in business opportunities, like some were already tricked to come to the state because they thought they were going to be working in the hotels and ended up in condominiums and were slaves. Human trafficking is human slavery. And it doesn't have to be sex, it's also labor. All these different areas are where we see human trafficking. There is a difference between trafficking and smuggling. Sex trafficking, in which a commercial sex act is induced by fraud, force, coercion, or even with the person induced to perform such an act but has not attained the age of 18. And the same thing goes into effect with labor. But with smuggling, sometimes that's consent because they want to come to the United States and they pay to have that privilege to come here, and then they are trafficked because they find out it's not the situation that they thought they were going to be in. That slide is a good slide of distinguishing between smuggling and trafficking. Okay. I'm going to let you read these other victim-centered approaches. I want to introduce to you the people that were so kind to come with me today. Barbour Martinez is the Chief Special Prosecutor for Human Trafficking for the U.S. Department of Justice and the U.S. Attorney's Office. Barbara?
I know we're limited on time. Let me just say that this does occur right here in South Florida. The U.S. Attorney, Wilfredo Ferrer, oversees our federal prosecution.
How much more time would you like for your presentation, because the time is up?
We
But
need a little bit.
A couple
We have
of
another
minutes, 2 minutes.
Yes.
Yes, and so we see cases, approximately 7 to 8 federal cases a year, but many more also in the state system. We're talking about minors. This year alone in Miami-Dade County, the youngest victim we had was 12 years old. She was forced into prostitution at the age of 12, and we have had 14, 16, and 18. Most of our sex trafficking cases in Miami-Dade County and in South Florida involve minors, and they are U.S. citizens. We've also seen adult victims who are forced into prostitution. They work either for pimps that are posting them on Backpage or actually just running escort services. But we also have boys, men, who are being forced into prostitution, some of them U.S. citizens, some of them from foreign countries. And finally, what we've seen is many immigrants from other countries who are lured here under false pretenses to our wonderful city for the purpose of sexual exploitation or forced labor. I just say to you that community awareness and collaboration to combat human trafficking is absolutely critical. And so we start here with the representatives of our community. Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
This is Rafael Hernandez. He is sent by Kathy Rundle, and he is Chief of Human Trafficking Task Force for the Miami-Dade State's Attorney's Office. He doesn't have much of a voice, so he's having somebody else.
My name is Orlando Villaverde. I'm going to be speaking on behalf of Chief Hernandez. Honorable Mayor Carlos Jimenez, County Commissioners, and Ms. Robinson, good morning. Rafael Hernandez, Chief of the Human Trafficking Task Force of the State Attorney's Office. On behalf of our State Attorney, Catherine Fernandez Rundle, and a lifelong veteran of law enforcement, having served this county as police chief in North Miami Beach, Sweetwater, and South Miami, we thank you for your attention and commitment to human trafficking. We congratulate the Commission for Women, and we all look forward to your continued partnership and support as we work together to eradicate this evil from our community. Thank you.
So what we are asking is we need to go through you, the commissioners, to educate the community. We have lots of task force that are out there, but we need your help. We have the people that can speak and show you and do the meetings. National Council of Jewish Women is going in through the schools. They are going in through the PTAs and talking to the parents. We've talked with different groups, but we need to get to the community. So I'm asking, and so is the state's attorney, asking you to help us and let us eradicate this critical issue.
If I just might say thank you so very much. It was a great presentation. The PowerPoint does need to circulate. I want to thank the state attorney and her leadership and great team, and U.S. attorney as well for this work. And so Linda is the former vice mayor of Palmetto Bay and a constituent and our representative to the Commission for Women, and she's volunteering to provide speakers and to go out to the forums within each of our districts. So thank you so much, very much for this
Thank
important
you.
presentation.
Thank you so very much for your patience. I believe Commissioner Diaz has a couple of questions or
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
comments.
Thank you for bringing this up today. This is something that this board has been dealing with now for a long time. Commissioner Sosa started on the school side. I started on this side. Chief, that's the first time I ever heard you quiet. By the way, Chief and I have been friends for many, many years. And Special Agent and, of course, Barbara, thank you for everything you guys do, both to Willie and to Kathy. Continue the hard work and something that has been going on to you, Madame. Attention is something that's very important. At the beginning, when we started this 5-6 years ago, nobody actually, they were mocking us because they said that this did not exist in South Florida. This happens in other countries. It did not happen here. Well, unfortunately, because you have to say unfortunately, a lot of people were proven wrong. I also got to thank Senator Rubio, Marcos Rubio, for also being very strongly involved in this issue. Everybody that's involved, it's a great thing that we get the message out there. I've asked for legislation to try to name this month Sexual Trafficking Month, Awareness Month, and everything that we do.
It is.
And
It's already been.
yeah, but for Dade County.
Oh.
For Dade County. Did you do it finally? Okay, I remember. All right. But anyways, I put it on. I thought it was a good idea since we spoke this morning. But anyways, that's how much we've dealt with this thing in the past. But thank you, Daniela.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sosa?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I think that we owe a lot of recognition to our state attorney, Kathy Fernandez-Rondo. I have to say that I still remember May the 12th of the year 2014, no, 2012, that we were standing over there discussing, and then in 2014, we were able to get together with the campaign that started. Back in 1915, we established a resolution urging the Florida legislature also to pass legislation that will create a new specialty license plate whose annual fees will be used to provide funding to public or private organizations to assist in sexually abused children. Directing the county mayor to apply for federal grants and created amended the Justice for Victims Trafficking Act, urging the legislature to address the human trafficking of children by enacting new and stricter penalties for those who are the perpetrators. The Justice for Victims of Human Trafficking Act that all of you supported. With Tim, with the State Attorney's Office, I am very glad that I was able, without having an election, to donate $10,000 to the public awareness campaign for human trafficking. And the resolution asking the state legislature to enact trafficking children of enacting stronger penalties regarding children in foster homes. All I have done and we have approved, including the Protection Act and the declaration of the Human Trafficking Day in Miami-Dade County, that the state attorney came and received the copy also of the reso and the proclamation, is because of her inspiration and all of you and how hard you have worked to finally one day make sure that human trafficking doesn't exist in our society. So thank you, Commissioner Levine, for making sure that the community recognize and the Commission on Women for joining forces together, because this is not a one person. We have a leader that we follow, but we also need to help her to make sure that we work together. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I forgot to thank one
Thank you,
group.
Commissioner. Commissioner Diaz?
Thank you. And I want to thank the group that back when, many, many years ago, that when we were dealing with this, was the Miami-Dade Police Department, their sexual crimes unit. I want to thank them publicly, because if it weren't for them to be involved in the trenches of working along with the state attorney, the U.S. attorney, we wouldn't be where we're at today with the knowledge that we have. And all the municipalities that share it. I remember, Chief, you were dealing with it a long time ago too. Special Agent, thank you again. God bless.
Commissioner Hayman?
Thank you. To keep it all inclusive, one, acknowledgements to all of you, but also the Women's Fund and NCJW.
Right.
They're two 501c3s that we fund as CBOs in Dade
Right.
County. And nationwide, NCJW made this a priority years ago. It's about education, so thank you all.
That's right. It's true.
Commissioner Moss?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question. Do you have curriculums that are geared toward children? Because, you know, we get into this area of when you start talking about some of the issues, concerns on the part of parents and that sort of a thing. So your speakers and your curriculum would speak to youngsters.
Under the age of 18. Let me introduce Jean.
My name is Jean Tong Noon, and I'm Thread of Life. I go around to the schools, to different businesses, to the churches, and I try to educate on what human trafficking is, because at this point we have our children being kidnapped off the streets. You don't hear about all of them, but it's been happening quite frequently. And this is what we need to educate the parents on, and also the businesses, so that everyone keeps an eye out on what's happening. We do have pamphlets and brochures, but you know how easy it is for someone to just toss it aside. So by going out to the community, we can educate, and especially our children. We need to start from age 12 to 14, trying to prevent them from falling into the hands, because they're very, very, it's so easy. You have to know what your traffickers are like, in that they have changed. It's no longer a pimp. This is a business, and we need to stop it before it supersedes drugs and guns, which is where it's heading right now.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
I think that
Yeah, from the law enforcement community, what we're doing is we're also doing training for the various police departments. And the task force that is actually composed of the City of Miami, Miami-Dade School Board, Miami Gardens, and the other municipality, we're actually working jointly, not only to train the officers on the street so they can actually identify and detect human trafficking victims, but also we're trying to actually reach out to the community itself. So we're doing contact with the patrol officers, who are actually our first responders. Those are the ones that are going to be able to identify these victims of human trafficking. The task force itself is doing both reactive and proactive investigation. So we understand the community needs, and not only the detection, but the identification of human trafficking. So, you know, putting the word out, and just like the Commissioner said, education is the key ingredient here. Thank you.
Thank you so very much to all of you. And again, thank you for your patience. And we'll
Thank
continue
you.
to work with you and support you in this endeavor. Thank you.
we appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Have a great day.